Hello, I am Nathan and welcome back to Cambridge Auto Sound. This is a Porsche 993, 1995, and actually we've done a few of these now. The older Porsches, so 3 litre SC, which was the light blue one that I did the video on with the subwoofer in the front, go check that out. The 3.2, which was very similar to the 3 litre SC, 964 and the 993 all had very similar speaker layouts and audio setups. So single DIN radio in the dash, then 5-inch speakers in the lower doors, these very small little funky 4x6 oval speakers on the rear shelf usually, and then the later cars, I think only in the 993 had tweeters as standard. Actually no, some 964s had tweeters flat on the panel in the door. The 993 then already had a slightly on-axis little tweeter pod, bit far back on the door card for what we really want, but good on them for putting it there, I guess. And then there was a sound package upgrade on the 993 that put little 3-inch mids low down on the door pods as well. I might drop some pictures in that I found on Google just to reference what all those look like. But basically very similar setups. And from what we're seeing, they're all coming in now with the same kind of wear on the rubbers on these speakers. So either they're starting to crack or in some cases they've just completely failed. One we're doing next door actually, a yellow Porsche 993, that had no rubber left on it at all, and so all you heard was this from the speakers. Not very nice. I hope you liked my impression there. Some of the 993s and 964s as well, they get a lot of water damage on the door cards, so that's something while we're in the progress of doing these speaker upgrades, we can help with that as well. We've been making those in-house and re-trimming them, because generally the leather on the door card is actually in good condition, so we can peel that off, make a new door card up, put a new foam backer on it, and then re-stretch your existing leather onto that door card, so you get the same leather and the same patina that you would have had, just with a more solid door card. So there's a number of different things we can do to those, just through from basic speaker upgrades with another replacement 5-inch speaker, but obviously one that works well, up to something like this, which has got some very nice componentry in it that sounds really nice. The guy that owns this car also owns the blue 3 litre SC that we did, and he's really into his audio, he's really into his music in general. At home he's always got music on, he's got a lot of instruments at home and he plays music all the time, so he knows what he wants his sound to sound like. And after we'd done his 3 litre SC, he was then complaining that this one didn't sound as good, so we've had this in this year and done some bits to it. It had previously been to an audio place on the other side of Cambridge, and they'd done some work, and we've upgraded it from what they'd done. What I do now is I've got video through the job. So if I drop that in, you'll go back to the beginning of the job when we got the car in, as we were stripping it apart and we were finding things as we went. So I think if I play that, and then you'll come back to me at the end and I'll just run through what's in the car basically. Which brings us back to today, and the car is complete. You've just had a listen around it at the beginning of the video as well, and probably get a copyright strike from YouTube. It might be not available in certain countries, so if you see me talking about some videos that you can't see on my channel, it's because they've got music in that unfortunately you're not allowed to listen to in your country. So what have we got in the car? We have got these Hertz Mille Legend ML280 tweeters, basically a 28mm tweeter, plays lovely and low, so we're running that in from about 2000 Hertz. The lower door has got the ML1650, so a 6.5-inch woofer. The reason I've used these in this car is because as a two-way setup, they perform really, really well. The tweeter, like I said, that plays really low, so to 2000 Hertz, and up obviously up to 20,000, not that you always can quite hear 20,000. The off-axis response of the woofer though is also very good. So that's normally with a two-way setup you can end up with a gap where the woofer doesn't want to play the higher frequencies, or it does, but they're just getting cancelled out in the car because basically it's playing down into your leg and you're so off axis to that speaker that the upper frequencies from kind of 500, 600, 700 hertz up to where then the tweeter comes in just get lost a little bit. That's why in a three-way setup you've got that mid-range that will play from 200 hertz or so. So you roll the woofer off lower. In a two-way setup you need that woofer to play all the way up to where the tweeter's playing. Otherwise you get a dip and that male and female vocal range isn't as punchy and as nice as you want it to be. But the Mille Legends as a two-way kit, they're very, very good. Like I said, the off-axis response of that Mille Legends woofer is brilliant, and the overall response then of the sound when they're both playing is nice and flat. You don't get kind of the woofer coming in and then dipping down, and then when the tweeter comes back in it goes back up again. You get a nice flat response. Powering the system, we've got the Audison Forza. You saw me installing that under the seat. 8 channels of amplification from this amplifier. We've got channels 1 and 2 running the tweeters, so they're wired actively, so they're directly from the amplifier. There's not a crossover in the door that's then passively splitting that signal. So that's channels 1 and 2. Channels 3 and 4 to one of the woofers, 5 and 6 to the other woofer, and then you've got 2 channels left, 7 and 8 there to the rear shelf. So we've bridged the woofer channels to give those, I think it's about 280 watts, which the Mille Legends will more than take. In fact, I've turned the gain down on those a little bit just to balance it out, otherwise they'd massively overpower the system. But it's nice being able to give those a lot of power so they punch nice and hard. Where was I? Yeah, if you've got any questions about old Porsches and what we can do to them in general, from head unit upgrades, so the Blaupunkt Bremen in the older ones, the Frankfurt in the slightly newer ones like a 964 or a 993. This has got the Porsche Classic Communications head unit, which, full disclosure, we didn't fit. That was already in there. Not a massive fan of how the older one works, but I have used the newer one that's got Apple CarPlay built into it, and that's a lot faster. This one's quite slow and clunky, and for a £1,300 unit, I'd expect it to perform better. But I know they have updated it, and I think the update does work a lot better. So yeah, there's 2 or 3 different head unit options you can have to keep that retro look. Basic speaker upgrades, we can do a direct replacement 5-inch and add a tweeter. We can upgrade that 5-inch to a 6.5, which is again what we're doing on the yellow car next door. You can then go Audison Forza or Hertz Mille Legend in terms of then upgrades to that 6.5-inch woofer to get a much nicer power kind of bigger power handling speaker in there. And the looks are subjective. I'll talk to you a minute about that actually. There's a Morel option we can do as well, Morel Hybrid or Elate. They've got some lovely looking grills if the grill's important to you, but they're such nice sounding speakers. I just haven't got to a system that I've been able to put those in yet. And on the subject of looks, obviously the looks are subjective, and we send pictures of what we're proposing to do to the customer beforehand, and they have the final say basically. I suggested the look of this to the customer and sent them the pictures of the Hertz Mille Legend, which have got open grills. Admittedly, it's a very modern look. And the tweeters, again, they come with that kind of double metal grill over them. They're a really nicely made thing. It's not plastic. It's actually, if I spin it round and show you another close-up, I don't know if that's going to pick it up. These are actually metal grills. They're not cheap plastic. They've got a nice texture to them. They feel nice. They look nice in the flesh. Admittedly, though, that is a modern look, and you look in the car and you think, oh, it's had the audio upgraded. The customer was happy with the look of this. I thought it looked quite nice as well. Some people might look at it and go, oh, that looks awful. In which case there are other speaker options with more traditional looking mesh grills over them. Because of the size of these speakers and the upgrade that you're getting, you can't fit them behind the factory mounts. There's no way that size tweeter is going to fit inside the standard factory tweeter pod. So we have to make our own tweeter pods, which we do in-house. It's 3D printed. It's a solid print, so it's not like a lattice work inside. It's solid plastic. But then we put a textured finish onto it that's similar actually to kind of other textures that you get over the car, so it doesn't really stand out as massively aftermarket. Admittedly, though, that Hertz massive tweeter on the front, you look at that and that's never going to blend in and look OEM, but it doesn't look horrible to my eye and to the customer's eye and to a lot of people that's seen it. There were some comments on social media of like, oh, it looks a bit Halfords, which, okay, fine, everyone's got their opinion. I thought it was a slightly harsh way of saying it, but it's there are options. If someone wants a speaker grill that looks more traditional, more mesh, that blends in as best as possible with the interior, then we can do that. It's fairly subjective, and like I said, let me stop this moving around now. And we discuss everything with the customer beforehand and do whatever they're happy with, basically. I'm going to wrap this up now. I hope you have found this informative. Like I say, if you've got an older Porsche and you're looking to have it upgraded, whether you want something like this or something more simple, give us a shout, and we'll do our best to help you. And thank you for watching. I know these might not be as slick as I want them to be. Every time I watch them back, I think, oh, I should have said this or done that. I will hopefully get better. I'll see you on the next one.